Hi, I'm George with NS345. Welcome back. I made some tweaks to the mix offline, so I want to share with you what I've done to the mix to get it ready for mastering. So I've made a couple of decisions. I'm going to leave the guitars where they are. They don't sound the greatest. They don't sound the worst. Again, the environment in which the recording was made was a little different, so we had to work through that. But however, it's coming out to be a good mix. It may not be what everybody likes to hear, but it's a mix that I like. And as I share my workflow with you, this is what I'm trying to convey to you is be happy with your work, get it to where you think you can get it to, and move on to the next song. This works for me, so I hope it works for you. So I've done a couple of things, and let me just walk through those real quick. The first change that I've done is I changed the compressor out on the mix bus. I'm using the SSL compressor in stereo, of course, and I'm getting about 2 dBs of gain reduction, and I'm using only about 1.5 dB of gain makeup. So let's hear the mix with the SSL bus compressor engaged.
Shamus.
Okay, so the first thing that I notice is that the compressor is adding a bit of depth, which I like. And you can hear that the difference is very subtle. So let's just check out what I did. I've brought the threshold down to, so the threshold here sets the operating level for the knee of the compressor. I've set it at 7.3. It's adjustable from -15 to +15. And at 7.3, I'm getting just a couple of dBs in reduction. The makeup, I've only added 1.5 dB. And if it was at 0, this is what it would sound like. Okay, notice that when I bypass the plugin, the actual mix is louder prior to compression. So when I compress it, the overall loudness comes down. So I want to make sure that I compensate for that. And I'm using my ear on this one, but let me bring up the VU meter so that we can properly A/B it. You can see that when I bypass the plugin, the levels are pretty similar. Right now, my mix level is above 0 VU, which it's okay. It's not too bad. I still have plenty of headroom. On the attack, I have 30 milliseconds. And let me show you what adjusting the attack level does to the mix. So right there, it's giving me about 8 dBs of gain reduction. So in essence, I could do this, compensate. But you don't ever want to do that to the mix bus because then it'll be squashed and it's overcompensating. So I'll bring this back to 1.5 and this to 30. Okay, the release, I have it on 0.1 seconds. When I set it in auto, it wasn't doing what I liked. It was too all over the place. So let me show you what the difference is. Okay, at 1 second, it's pretty average, and I want it because the song is pretty steady. It's very consistent in terms of dynamics. All right, in terms of the ratio, I have a 2:1 ratio. Let's listen to what the different ratios do for the mix. So if you do notice, adding the ratio 10:1 does increase the gain a little bit. It's not very noticeable, so it's subtle, but what it's doing is actually squashing the mix, squashing the peaks a lot more. So I like the subtle compression, and let's see what the analog does. The The analog is actually just smoothing out the mix a little bit and taming some of the harsh frequencies. Okay, and this is like a bypass button. And that's all I have going in the mix bus. I'm using the G Master bus compressor. I love the tone of it. I love the color that it gives the mix. I was originally using the PreSonus compressor. All right, that's all I have for the mix bus. Let's move on.